Everton won, Arsenal 0. What a result that is for the Toffees. Initially, I was not really pay attention to the game. I'd written it off. I had given Everton no chance. I thought Arsenal were going to rock up, smash Everton 3 or 4 0 and go back to North London easy peasy. However, the closer it got to 12:30, I did think to myself, with the new manager bounce of Sean Dyche, I did think Everton would respond. Thinking maybe more in the performance rather than the actual result, and what ended up to be both the performance and the result. I thought to myself, with Everton fans protesting against the board for the horrendous running of the club on and off the pitch, although that would galvanise the Goodison Park atmosphere and that would create an atmosphere that would translate that energy onto the players, onto the pitch, and maybe help them and perform a bit better. I thought to myself that Arsenal have had a bad record recently at Goodison Park. I think the last time they won was under Arsene Wenger in his last game, which was a long time ago now. And the fact that it is Arteta, the narrative of the young up and coming manager who's trying to win his first Premier League title, coming back to a ground where he used to play at and used to be a player for. I think the narrative of, maybe there were just so many things in the whole narrative of the game where I thought to myself, there's something could happen here. And there was so much negativity on Everton's side, so much positivity on Arsenal's side. And there was something in the air, and undoubtedly it turned out exactly like that. I think it was very interesting to see Everton's formation going into the game. I think going from a 5-3-2 to kind of a 4-4-2. Abdoulaye Doucouré coming back into the team, kind of playing second striker off Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which resulted in when defending they were playing with the three in midfield. I think Dwight McNeil starting was, I think everyone could have guessed that, especially since Sean Dyche had him at Burnley. He did incredibly well for him, had to play his best football there. Him coming into the side was a no-brainer. I think it was interesting the fact that Seamus Coleman and Mikalenko were the ones playing a fullback. I thought to myself, Seamus Coleman would play right back because of the fact that Sean Dyche liked that experience, liked that know-how, and him on the right-hand side would lock down Martinelli if he had a good game, and he did. And I thought Godfrey might have played left back. I think Mikalenko has struggled for form recently under Frank Lampard. He hasn't been really defending well, has been putting in careless tackles, caught the wrong side of his man. But he put in an outstanding performance against Saka. I know he got yellow carded for a foul, but I think it's a tactical foul. He needed to make it. And then you had the Doucouré, Onana and Idrissa Gana Gueye, that midfield three, and Onana was incredible this game. Honestly, my man of the match. I thought he had a wonderful game, kind of locking off that midfield, giving Partey and Xhaka nothing, giving Odegaard nothing. With such a creative player. And then from Arsenal's perspective, the team you expect, really, the team that has more or less gone out and played 90 minutes for the entire season so far. I think you maybe could have questioned Thomas Partey starting, especially since he had his injury doubts, with Jorginho on the bench, but with Jorginho not used to the system and the way Arsenal play just yet, and he doesn't have that chemistry and link-up play, I think it was right to play Partey, like Mikel Arteta decided to do. And then going into the game, I thought Arsenal are going to be attacking, Everton were going to be defending in the low block, and that's what they did initially. And they defended really deep in their own half, to the point where I was kind of concerned in the first 10 minutes of how Everton were even going to get out and counter-attack. But then all of a sudden, about 15 minutes in, Arsenal kind of took their foot off the gas and Everton kind of grew into the game a little bit, and they were like, no, actually, we're doing well here. We're defending well, we're competing for the balls, we're competing for challenges, and the crowd were getting into it. And all of a sudden, they switched from defending really deep in their own half and kind of pressing in half-heartedly to try and push Arsenal back rather than trying to win the ball, to Ramsdale having the ball, and then Dominic Calvert-Lewin going, Doucouré going, McNeil going, Iwobi going, and all of a sudden they were pressing them in their own half, and it's actually really impressive to see, because this is the thing now with Everton winning. Arsenal won every game so far this season apart from away to Man United, and everyone's been looking for a blueprint of how they go about trying to stop Arsenal and stop this Arsenal team. You've got the likes of Martinelli, Saka, you've got Martin Odegaard in the 10, you've got Nketiah, Jesus when he comes back, and they've been scoring goals for fun, they've been winning games for fun, and now there's a blueprint. Arsenal lost the game and they thoroughly deserve to lose the game, and Everton outplayed them. And this blueprint, it'll be interesting to see going forward if other managers are going to use it, because I can definitely see other teams replicating what Everton did today. the wide players, Iwobi and McNeil, were incredible today. And the fact that they had to tag team the wide players for Arsenal in Martinelli and Saka. You initially had McNeil on the right, Iwobi on the left, and they were doing really well. There was a little worry in the game where the ball was kind of in the half space in the midfield of Arsenal's right, and they were switching it over to Martinelli on the left, which was isolating him against Seamus Coleman. And there was a little worry with his pace, because we saw Marcus Rashford doing Coleman a couple of times when the two teams played recently for Man United and Everton, that Martinelli could skin Coleman and beat him for pace, and then that caused him real trouble. And it was actually a tactical masterclass by Sean Dyche to swap Iwobi and McNeil over, so Iwobi could help Seamus Coleman, who's Iwobi who was doing really well defensively, and McNeil could help Mykolenko against Saka, who didn't need as much help because Mykolenko had the pace. And then as the game was going on, Arsenal were really struggling. They weren't really building up the play the way they wanted to. Everton were doing really, really well, double teaming the wide players. Martin Odegaard having no space with Onana, Decore, and Idrissa Gana game in field. But then all of a sudden, Arsenal had that chance. Eddie Nketiah, it was lovely take from him to skip past James Tarkowski to shoot, and he shot well wide. And that was, in hindsight now, that was a big moment in the game, because if Arsenal scored that, all of a sudden you go, right, fair enough, we all expected this. Everton did well for 20-25 minutes, but however, Arsenal's quality prevailed, but that didn't happen. And that's where I think moments in games like this change, because then all of a sudden Everton are completely on the front foot. They have corner after corner after corner. Every corner they put in was going deep. They were trying to block off Ramsdale and try and get a header at the back post. And for some reason, after the second time, I mean, you'd think maybe after the first time Arsenal would try and do something about it, but after the second time, they still didn't do anything. And it caused them so many issues. And then you saw Dominic Calvert-Lewin having a chance. Again, Onana, again, nicking the ball off on the left-hand side, driving past Martin Odegaard, who didn't have the pace or the power to match him, putting a ball across the box. Ramsdale couldn't get there, perfectly in between the goalkeeper and centre-backs, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin got a stud on it, but couldn't get the chance. And then, of course, you had the ball later on, about 5 minutes later. Everton get the ball on the left-hand side, the ball goes into the box, and Abdoulaye Doucouré completely loses his man and just scuffs his header, and I don't know I think he gets it off the top of his head and just goes straight up into the air rather than on target towards the goal. And it was such an interesting game. And you go in at half time where it's 0-0 and you think to yourself, Arsenal just need to be patient. They've had the Nketiah chance. Saka had a chance which was cleared off the line by Conor Cody, but you just go, okay, it'll come. Second half, Everton, the big worry for them was, are they going to lose their legs? Do they have the stamina to keep going? Do they have the desire to keep on going? Arsenal just need to be patient. And as you came out in the second half, you saw Arsenal were playing a lot better. They were playing sharper, more quicker, they were more precise. They were isolating the wingers against the fullbacks one-on-one a lot more, and it looked really dangerous. And Everton didn't really have a response for it. They were trying to press again high when they saw fit, but however, when Arsenal got out, they played out a lot better at the back than they did in the first half, and then all of a sudden they're on to the Everton back line. Jordan Pickford didn't really have an amazing save to make. He made some saves and he thought, okay, yeah, fair enough, that's a good save for him to make, but Arsenal didn't really test him too much. And I think that was the biggest worry more than anything else. And then all of a sudden Everton get a corner. You have the worry from the first half where Everton have 4 or 5 corners in a row, and you think to yourself, oh my god, they're doing really well here. And then Dwight McNeil puts in the corner. James Tarkowski is being marked by Eddie Nketiah, which is fine. I think I don't have an issue with that. A striker against a centre back, I don't mind that. But then because Eddie Nketiah was marking zonally, he's worried about the space, so he leaves the man. And then it's James Tarkowski against Martin Odegaard, and then he just manhandles him. He treats him like a child and just completely pushes him out the way. He just grabs on to him, and Odegaard can do nothing. And it's just a perfect header. You probably want, apart from maybe Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you want no one else on that Everton team up against that ball, trying to get it on target with the header. And then Everton go 1-0 up, and you think to yourself, oh my god, is this the game? Is this the game where Arsenal drop points and people start saying, have they started to bottle the league? Is this the game where Everton finally get a win? I can't remember last time, maybe November, October. I don't really remember the last time Everton won a game. And then Everton bring on Neo Mope instead for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and I can understand what Sean Dyche is thinking there, because Calvert-Lewin did an incredible shift in the first 60 minutes of that game. However, Mope did struggle massively against a 6'4" Saliba and 6'3" Gabriel, and you can't blame him because he's just not the quality of player that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is, and he was making it really difficult for Arsenal because he was winning the balls, he was putting himself about, getting onto headers, getting the flick-ons, and then Maupay definitely struggled. And this is where the Everton's lack of transfer activity, I should say, might hinder them going forward, because of the fact that if Calvert-Lewin gets injured, Everton are so screwed. And you need another option off the bench where Calvert-Lewin comes off and you can bring someone else on. Maybe that's Ellis Sims. Clearly Sean Dyche doesn't think so. Clearly Frank Lampard didn't think so. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, because without Calvert-Lewin on the pitch, that out ball for Everton, the long ball was no longer effective. You saw later on in the game, Onana and Decore kind of got a bit forward, and then Maupay was trying to run onto the flick-ons they were creating. But it changed the structure of the team, and then you were vacating the place from midfield to try and win that first initial headers. And Everton need to look at that, because they need to keep Calvert-Lewin fit, because the initiative went all towards Arsenal. They had all the possession, they were passing it through. They weren't creating the chances in defence to Everton. They weren't creating those clear-cut chances, which you said yourself, oh, do you know what, Arsenal should have scored there. Those goals were XG shoots up massively because it was a clear-cut chance. But I think Arsenal need to keep their heads, because as long as they are going to get a lot of stick now from rival fans saying, oh, well, this is it, this is them starting to bottle it, and this is them, Man City's going to catch up now. And especially since the narrative of Man City have had a terrible transfer window and Arsenal had an amazing transfer window, now all of a sudden if Man City beat Spurs, which I think they will do, they're only 2 points behind, I think it is. 2 points behind. They obviously haven't played an extra game, but those two Arsenal versus Man City games in the league coming up are going to be massive. And as long as Arsenal win the next game, and it's just this was a blip, because if they drop points in the next game, then you go from, okay, just a blip, to we didn't expect to be here, and then all of a sudden if they drop points in the next game, then it's, come on, I'm fed up of it now, what are we doing? And it's panic mode now. And I think since Arsenal have been such a joyous watch this season, such a passionate team, that this can feel like a real kick in the teeth just after losing one game. But like I said at the beginning, because of the circumstances, the new manager bounce, Sean Dyche, I mean, obviously him at Burnley, I think he drew 0-0 against Arsenal at the Emirates and when he was last manager for them. The bad form, the fact that this is a ground that Arsenal traditionally struggle at, I think you can just write it off as one bad game, because Martinelli had to get hooked, Odegaard got hooked. I think if Eddie Nketiah, if there was a suitable striker to come off for him, if Jesus was on the bench, I think he would have been hooked. And I think Everton should take a lot of credit, a lot of goodwill from this game, and say to themselves, do you know what, we actually did really well today. The fact that we caused Arsenal to take their attackers off, the attackers who've been doing so well, because of the poor performance they were having. The fact that they got the whole crowd on side, the fact that midfield and defensive performances, especially like I said, Onana in midfield is incredible. If Everton get relegated, which is still a possibility, he is definitely going to be moving on, because he is such a quality player. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if they keep him fit, things are looking good. I think it's the Merseyside derby next for Everton, and they just need to replicate exactly the same as they did today against Arsenal, because if they do that, I can definitely see Everton avoiding the drop.